Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of SpearCast. We have an extremely special episode, as not only are we on video for the first time, we're also joined here by the Utah Statesman Sports Desk. If you guys don't mind introducing yourselves to our audience and obviously ours to yours.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited for this collaboration. The Utah Statesman is here visiting San Jose on an exchange trip, so we're excited to collaborate and talk a little bit more about the football game coming up.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. All right, well, and then we're obviously here, me and Christian are obviously here, joined by Matt Weiner as well, beat reporter for the Spear. And Matt, how are you today?
Good. Very excited for this. This is I'm pretty sure this will be the only one like this. We'll do the rest of the season, so let's have fun with this one. It's going to be the only one.
Absolutely.
I will, obviously.
Literally only exchange SpearCast.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be the one and only.
Yeah.
All right, well, obviously, you guys are here for the football game. But me and Christian had one question to start off the podcast. Why an Aggie? or what is an Aggie?
Let me reflect the question on you guys. Do you know what an Aggie is?
No, that's where the question started is. We don't know what an Aggie is. Can you explain?
I'll take a stab at this. So basically, Utah State was actually called Utah College of Agriculture. So it's a very big ag state, agriculture school. So Aggie kind of came from agriculture.
Yeah.
What it entails, it's just that ag culture. What is it? I can't give you a straight up answer, but it is very much based off of agricultural.
And we still are a big ag school, but
Absolutely.
Big Blue, our mascot, is a bull. So, agriculture, the bull.
Oh,
Interpret
cool.
it as you will.
Yeah.
All right, well then, obviously the Spartans are Spartans. I mean, no explanation needed.
Basic name.
Nothing to read into.
All right, well, and then obviously, tomorrow, the big day for both of us and reason why you're here. What do you guys have to say about the football team and, well, whether it be yours or ours? It's obviously something big and the only reason why you guys are here.
Yeah, it's bound to be a good game, especially, being your homecoming week, right? That's always a big game. This is the 42nd time the teams have played each other, so it'll be interesting. Their record is actually 20-1 in
tied.
matchups.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
wow.
Aggies have
I didn't know
won the past 10 games, so we'll see what happens with that tomorrow, but it should be a good game.
Well, Matt, you're obviously this little specialist here, so
Yeah.
what do you have to say about that?
Very interesting part with the Spartans right now. Got to the 1-5 start. Things were not great. You had the 3-game losing streak where you blew double-digit second half leads, and you're outscored 56-7 during the second half in that span of all those 3 games. But then you play University of New Mexico and you win 52-24. You got all this excitement. Now we're looking at the Mountain West can this team actually go from 1-5 to bowl eligible? And this is the first step in proving that, because let's be honest, New Mexico State is not that great. They're going to finish in the bottom half of the Mountain West. So that's why I'm excited. Okay, was this a fluke or no, the Spartans are legit?
Yeah. Yeah, it can flip, and you mentioned that your team has struggled in the latter half of the game, right? The Aggies have struggled in the first quarter. In fact, we've been outscored 91-17 in the first quarter this season. But we've outscored our opponents 244-139 in the remainder of the game. So it really, anything can happen. It can change super fast, as we've seen with both our teams.
And with our team being a second half team, or falling asleep in the second half, we're going to see how that goes.
Yeah, if there's one of those is way better than the other. It's when you get options by a waiter where it's you could have fries or fruit. You're going fries. That's essentially what I equate this to. Bad in the first quarter is fruit, being bad in the second half. Or flip it, bad in the first quarter is fries, bad in the second half is fruit. I'm taking one of those.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk quarterback situation with Utah State. This is what people want to know about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously we have a very good quarterback situation as far as 2 very good and talented players that both have weaknesses and strengths, of course. We started off with Cooper Legas here, who started off the season, coming off last season, playing very well. This year, he had some struggles early in the season that eventually McKay Hillstead, true freshman from a local school in Utah, came up and stepped up, and he played well, but then suffered a concussion there versus Colorado State, which took him out for a couple games. So, it's going to be curious to see. Legas had a great game last week versus Fresno State, but McKay is healthy, and Coach said he's ready to go this week to play. So.
Yeah, so, it'll be interesting to see. Coach seems to favor Hillstead, and it looks like he's going to be starting tomorrow. But you never know, and we don't know where his injury's at, so it'll be interesting to see. But both have proven that they have the skill necessary to play in these games, so anything can happen. But what about your guys' quarterback? Tell us about some of his stats and what's going on there.
Yeah, I feel bad just hogging the mic. Do you guys want to pitch in at all?
Jump in, Christian.
All right, yeah. So Siobhan Cordero, senior, he actually transferred from Hawaii a couple years ago, and he's had a really successful season so far. He did lose one of his main targets going into the season, Justin Lockhart. So it has been a step down from last season. But the stats I have right now is 1,619 passing yards. And 8 passing touchdowns. And he's also a good rusher. He has 3 rushing touchdowns, too. So he does have that element to take the ball and run with him, too. So it kind of helps in the run game, too, when you can always the quarterback might pull the ball from the running back and take it, too.
Yeah, Nick, do you want to add on to what are some of your thoughts on Chev so far this season?
Obviously, Chev, like on SpearCast, like we've talked about, whether it be with you or Nate, he looks good for 30 minutes, but then looks like he falls asleep. As I mentioned earlier in the second half, like it just feels like the offense just kind of just dies in a way. Mm-hmm. Like it just seems like they just like lose control of like what to do essentially. Mm-hmm. And then what have you say about that?
Yeah, I think going into the season, he's the Mountain West preseason offensive player of the year. So you're like, all right, well, this guy has to be the man of the hour. Like constantly, it's going to be Chev throwing for 300 passing yards, multiple touchdowns a game. Like as you mentioned, he's dynamic with his legs, even running for some. But then you lose Lockhart before the season, and this wide receiving core was lacking depth heading into this. Like our best receiver so far, he didn't even start any games at wide receiver in his entire college career before this season in Nick Nash. And he's been great, but the depth just isn't there. Which is why I say run the ball. You have Kyrie Robinson, who's been here since 2019, and he was a dog last week.
Yes.
And on top of that, we also have Quali Conley, a Utah Tech transfer, who was a dog as well. Had a big screen pass, went for like 60 yards last week, and then had 120 plus on the ground. And we in total, I think it was like 259 rushing yards.
Yeah.
So that's our strength. Let's run with that strength. And that's the reason why we put 38 points in the second half. So it's like, let's go run heavy.
Yeah, I believe Kyrie Robinson actually scored 4 rushing touchdowns last week.
Right.
Mountain West Player of the Week. So
yeah.
So obviously, I think the run game is what works for the Spartans more than anything else right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as far as us goes, that's going to be huge for us to stop that run game tomorrow. We have a great defensive line, but again, coming into this season, we had 58 new players on our team. We had, 7 starters that came back. We are a very, very new team.
New roster.
So I think, we step back, we look at Utah State's whole season thus far. I'm pretty proud of this team of what they've been able to do. I think the biggest thing that was killing us is how slow starts we've done. That stat, 90-something to 17 in the first quarter is terrible. And you take that away, a lot of these games we come up on top. But as far as you guys have a great run game. Our passing game, I would say, has been doing very well lately. We have 3 wide receivers that average over 100 yards of receiving a game, which is pretty impressive. Consistently. And we have 3 running backs that are very we have depth in the running back that are very well. One that stands out is Rashul Fison, who's actually transferred from Snow College, who's been doing really well, and then Davon Booth, and then we also have Robert Briggs, who's a returner from last year. So we do have some depth there, but definitely I think coming on top, taking some shots down the field is going to be huge tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the quarterbacks, I think it's fascinating what's going on because I'm a Lega guy. I watched Fresno State last week, and that's a moment where it might be too big for him, might choke. But I know you guys ended up losing and everything, but he was good for the most part down the stretch. I know things didn't turn out. I think he threw a pick at the end, but that guy's electric. I would say roll with the hot hand. And what I think we were talking about, because we grabbed food with you guys at Pizza My Heart before we did this with all you guys. And then what I was talking about, I was like, do they then try and go back and forth between Hillstead and Lega? I don't know what that situation is. Do you think that's a possibility that it's just feeling them out?
Yeah, I think honestly, as fans, we don't know what's going to happen, right? both of them have gotten the playing time and an opportunity to prove what they have. Like we mentioned before, Coach seems to be favoring Hillstead right now to be his starting quarterback. And when he did make the switch in the beginning of the season, saying Hillstead is our starting quarterback before he got injured, and Coach was really confident about that and telling the press and telling fans, like, this is where we're going. We want to develop him, and we see him, long-term having success here. And so he was confident about that until he was injured. And then, Cooper obviously has shown his skill as well. So honestly, I think it can go either way. It looks like Hillstead's going to be our starter tomorrow, but you never know.
And to add to that, a couple years ago, we had two very great, talented quarterbacks, had Logan Bonner and then also Andrew Peasley. And kind of what Coach Anderson went about with this was those guys came in and out. We didn't have one starter. We had a couple that would go back and forth. Peasley was very good at using his legs and getting some yards. And then Logan was more of that pocket passer. So, we look at Hillstead, we look at Legas. Legas definitely, I feel like, can make some moves on his feet. But they're both pretty similar. Again, McKay is a true freshman. He's very new, still learning the ropes. He did play very well when he came in, but Legas has been here. He's been talented. He knows the team, and he's been a great leader. So I think last week, he showed kind of what he could do.
I think it's also interesting to point out that Legas hasn't been negative or down at all when he has been taken out of those games. He sees himself as a leader on the team, which he is, and pretty much has put himself in the position of, I'm ready whenever they need me. Coach has also been a little bit more lenient with Hillstead making those mistakes, throwing those interceptions. He's given him some more grace, saying because he is a true freshman, he's going to make those mistakes and he's going to learn from it. Whereas I think we see with Cooper, he's a little bit harsher on those mistakes, with reason, with his time being on the team. But I definitely think we could see a situation like last year where we switch between those quarterbacks depending on who's making the moves.
Okay, well, that's straight Boise State vibes. Essentially, where we faced Taylor Green and then Maiden Maddox, and that turned out really well for us at the end. They just roared back from and beat us. What was it? So we're up 27-7 first half, and they won 35-27. So that went well. That'll be crazy if that was a part two. But bigger picture, let's zoom out. Fans know what to expect from the game, have enough information there to chat about it. What's the big picture? What does this mean for Utah State, just zooming out?
Yeah, I think really this year is important. Coach Anderson is relatively new to the program, and like we mentioned, we have a completely new team this year. We have a new defensive coordinator. The team is rebuilding, honestly. So this year, I think is going to be really important for the program in the future and big picture as they grow closer as a team, closer with the coaches. Having that team dynamic is going to be really important for the rest of this season and in seasons coming forward too.
I think definitely going forward, obviously a bowl game is always the goal. So we're just trying to win out and try to get those games in. We're sitting at 3-4 right now. Definitely a bowl game's on our minds, but definitely rebuilding. And especially nowadays we can learn that the NIL deals and everything, you can become good pretty quick. This team, we do have a lot of talent, but also there needs to be that brotherhood, that camaraderie to be successful. So.
And then, you touch on NIL. It's one of my favorite.
NIL is amazing.
Yeah. Well, depends who you ask.
Obviously.
Here's the thing. If you ask somebody who's in a place like Logan where you're going to have a lot of people who care about the program because this is Logan, then NIL, it's a lot easier to build NIL versus San Jose State. We have to win a lot more to get that NIL interest. But yeah, so have you guys done any reporting or anything into your NIL situation? I know I've done it for the Spear on my end, but yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it's been a bit of a struggle for us, even though Logan is a small town. It is a college town, and there are a lot of supporters. NIL, that's why we lost most of our players. They all left to schools where they're making tens of thousands of dollars because why not? They're getting the same playing time or less playing time, but they're making tens of thousands of dollars. If I'm an 18-year-old guy and I have that option, I'd probably go with that too. So, we did struggle, and I think now we have a team of a lot of dedicated players. Ike Larson is from Logan, and he's, has amazing stats, one of our top players, and he's said, I'm dedicated to staying in the area. So you have players like that, and then you have some that, maybe just didn't get the NIL deals elsewhere. But to that point, I think it was partially a struggle because the university wasn't adamantly helping the players get those NIL deals. They were staying out of it, really. Recently, there's been an organization started by Eric Lobb and Gary Anderson, former USU football coach, called the Blue Wave Collective. And they started this nonprofit organization to keep players at Utah State. Honestly, they love Utah State and they wanted to do something about these NIL deals. And so it's kind of an interesting dynamic. They actually partner athletes who sign up with the Blue Wave Collective to help them with local charities. And as these athletes are working with local charities, then they get money from that, right? And those come from donations that the Blue Wave Collective organizes. Outside of that, there are some players. I think Ike Larson has a deal with Taco Bell, is it?
Taco Time.
Taco Time?
Yeah.
Okay, is that like
And
a
so-
local spot? Like a local Mexican spot?
Well, they have
Taco Time is a huge chain restaurant.
Oh
yeah.
my god, okay.
Yeah,
My
and so-
California showing, sorry.
we don't have that.
You guys have real tacos, so that's okay. But yeah, so those are things that the athletes are finding out on their own. And yeah, that's not a local spot. That's a huge chain restaurant. He got that one. But like outside of that, NIL does really have been a struggle for us in Logan.
I'm curious, how about you guys? How about NIL deals for San Jose State? What does that look like for the athlete? And then how has that affected your guys' athletic program?
I mean, I would definitely say NIL is definitely a struggle here as well. But I mean, we definitely have like a few, like I guess you could say, like little stars in the NIL. I mean, Christian covered a whole athlete and a whole little like local restaurant here.
Yeah,
take it away.
Tell us about the burrito.
Yeah.
Share about
Exactly.
this.
Yeah, the famous burrito.
So there's this guy on tackle on the football team, Fernando Carmona Jr., and he is a big guy. He's 6'5", 320 maybe, and so he's been going to this burrito place, and he kind of made a connection with them, just like going weekly almost, and they got to know him, and then through a project, and it kind of through that relationship, they were able to. He was like, "Hey, let me be an ambassador for you guys," and it grew into this like burrito he ordered all the time, which was like double meat, double everything, because he's a big lineman. He's like, the little burritos don't fill me up enough.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, he wanted it to be on the menu, so now like you can go there, and it's one of the more expensive burritos on the menu, but it is giant, and it's like me and Nick could share it, and we'd both be full.
Yeah.
Yeah, share the catering aspect of it, because this is really how this is some of the funding.
So how the money works is for Fernando is basically if he recommends a catering group of like 30 or more people, and he tells them to say, hey, tell this restaurant, California Wet Burrito, that I recommended you, and then he makes like a 10% cut of the catering. So that's like where he makes his money at, really. And he's actually made a lot of money so far, I think.
Wow.
I don't remember exactly the number, but he started back in February, so he's kind of built up, and he says they plan to do more deals, he said maybe make a smaller burrito for people, the students here.
Us normal sized
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Non 300 pounders.
Yeah.
Well, thinking, more broad scale with these NIL deals, how have you guys seen that affect college football in general? Like, it's pretty crazy to see how it's changed across the nation.
Like Christian just said it right now. It's not even like an NIL deal anymore. It's just like a transfer portal deal almost. Like it's just like which school can like offer the most and like offer the most NIL.
Yeah.
I mean, I have opinions on this.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's the different thing of like, okay, the whole point of NIL, 100% everybody was for it. And it's a good thing that, yes, these athletes should be getting paid. I think we saw that in the Johnny Manziel documentary. Like, that was, I don't know if you guys saw that. Yeah. But, I mean, that whole idea of how much money that was going to Texas A&M that he could only get doing it, quote unquote, illegally, just through, like, signatures, things like that. That's the reason why they should get paid. But the collective thing is so difficult, and it depends on the sport, because how is a collective supposed to dole out money to football rosters that have like 85 to 100 guys on there? That's a difficult part versus basketball, and I think Utah State's definitely going to capitalize on this in the NIL department for them, because they have a great basketball team. Like, I watched you guys at the Mountain West tournament last year, and like almost like pretty go toe to toe with San Diego State, who was then like the NCAA runner up.
Almost there.
Right. Yeah, almost there, exactly. But yeah, that's where I think it's frustrating. And then we still don't have much transparency, because we have on3.com, but how accurate are those numbers? Because a lot of it is going under the
absolutely.
And so there's not much transparency at all. Like, I wouldn't say there's not much transparency, but we are still lacking in transparency. And I think it's not great sometimes, but you have to do it. But it's just, there's that learning curve of trying to find the best way to do it because like I'm all for more funding to get things for like mental health aspects, like help athletes just if there's anything to help them with their mental health, like some of the money for that, just quality of life aspects. But the NIL deal is a beast because it's not necessarily donors, it's investors.
No, I think that's a great way to put it. And honestly, I agree with you. I think there needs to be more transparency. I think there needs to be some sort of restriction of some structure, because right now it feels like it's a free-for-all, and you can kind of label anything to be an NIL deal to pay for these athletes, And I wonder if you guys saw this, but the University of Utah gave every one of their scholarship players a Ram truck, which is insane, And imagine being a walk-on and seeing all these guys pull up in their trucks.
It's just like, what the?
So I think it's just huge, and I hope that they start working toward this and realize that if they don't fix this as far as having some type of structure, it is going to take a toll on college sports in general, even more football, as we've all kind of taken hits and seen it.
Yeah, and I think we are going to see some regulation on that in the future, just because it has impacted the transfer portal. Like you said, NIL deals and the transfer portal, it's like it's completely changed it. So, and there's a lot of debate whether that's fair or not, buying the whole team trucks and whatnot.
I think it's fine because of what the money the athletes bring to university. If you cut out football from the University of Utah, that looks like a lot different school. So that's one of those things that you're having to regulate. That's why I brought up the Manziel, where I kind of understand why he went under the table. Who wouldn't understand? And like, especially as someone like Zion, like I know that's a couple of years ago, but that's still very recent, where he would be making Caleb Williams money, even more money than Caleb Williams, if NIL was available at that time. So very fun to talk about. Unfortunately, we are not the people who regulate it. Unfortunately, we're literally just a couple or
just
group of
sharing our
college
opinions.
students.
But yeah, I'd love to bring it back to tomorrow's game.
Let's do it.
Talking about some of your other star players that you have outside of quarterback. What's really changed the game for us is Terrell Vaughn with just insane stats. He's really been a star player for us.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at our receiving core. We lost actually a decent amount of receivers. Terrell Vaughn was like our only returning kind of starter that's gotten a lot of playing time last season. So he plays slot and has done very good. Jalen Royals, who plays outside wide receiver, has been phenomenal. And we've really seen some of those wide receivers step up more than I was expecting, honestly. Coming to the season, I was like, okay, we got Terrell Vaughn's. I'm excited to see what he can do. Jalen Royals, Micah Davis, and then him all three of them have really gone off. And, we've definitely seen, going back to Cooper, he's been able to place that ball perfectly, but we've seen, we had a top
Crazy
10
catches.
Sports Center catch last week. Jalen Royals was number 6, and it was a sweet catch that he made over someone. So we've seen a lot of talent in our wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, we're the only FSB team with 2 or more players that have 8 or more touchdowns, with Jalen Royals and Terrell Vaughn's both having 8 and 9. So I think they're really going to make a difference for us tomorrow, as they have in previous games as well.
So how about for you guys? What's kind of like the game plan maybe going forward into the game tomorrow?
Run
Get
the
a
damn
win.
ball.
Get a win.
Run the ball.
Run the damn ball.
That's I follow a lot of even the offensive linemen, and they've been posting that too. When they post pictures from last week, all their captions are just saying "run the ball."
Wow.
Like that is the mindset of the team.
It's what works, and why change from it? If obviously the passing game doesn't work.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Chev is so 2 reasons on that why it works outside of running the ball. Some of the other factors. One, Chev, really humble guy. He seemed pretty happy about it after the game. Wasn't ticked off that he wasn't getting the attention not the attention, but not getting all the stats. Because remember, 6th-year guy, the only thing next for him is the pros. And so if he's handing the ball off a bunch, he's not going to get tape he could still get it, but it's tough to get tape if
Doesn't
majority
show on
of
paper
it.
what he's doing.
Exactly. But then it sets up the play action well. Last week we had a big 50-plus yard play action deep bomb to Nick Nash. That was kind of like the nail in the coffin touchdown in the second half. And Chev was saying after the game, that doesn't happen if we don't have the run game working, because it sucks everybody up. Then you go over the top. So that's what we need. And I think winning is more important than anything else right now. So yeah.
So you think they're going to stick to that?
I sure hope. It's the Kodak meme, but I hope so.
I hope that we can be able to protect that and be able to stop that run game, because we placed Air Force a few few weeks back, and they ran it down our throats. We got absolutely destroyed in the run
Likewise.
game, and so I think just being able
Air
to,
Force.
Air Force. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
they run that wing tee and they run the ball, So obviously they have over like 300 yards rushing every single game. So I mean, I'm curious to see tomorrow how our team does adapt to that, because we have been prone to sometimes not be able to stop the run as much as we should be able to.
All right, fill in the blank. Utah State loses if blank happens.
So I definitely think we definitely lose if we don't show up tomorrow in the first half. I mean, we'll see. We got to step up. We have to play, make some plays. But I think the biggest thing probably is just if we don't stop the run, we lose.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would say.
And
Yeah.
then giving it to you, Matt.
Well,
Flip side.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the flip side and
Yeah.
then flip it on you. San Jose State loses if we don't show up in the second half tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
When it comes
We'll
to-
see. A lot of times, in most of our games, we haven't shown up in the first quarter, and sometimes we're able to come back, and sometimes we dig ourselves in such a hole that it's impossible to come back. So I think it'll just be a matter of who plays worse in which half, and how far, how far can you come back.
It'll literally be like like you said, like who takes the first half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. All right, and then obviously, like Matt mentioned earlier, we were out to eat. Score predictions from everybody here. Matt, I think
Start
you
us
should.
off.
Okay. I'm going to go 27-21 San Jose State.
Wow.
And I think they'd cover if they...
I don't know what the spread
Yeah,
is.
I think it's like a 5, but they're close to covering if not covering. Anyways, Christian?
I was going to go 24-17 San Jose State.
I don't know. I think 20-7 San Jose State.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay. How do you respond to the disrespect?
The disrespect. I'm going to say 34-21 for Utah State.
That honestly, I was thinking that. I think it's gonna be like 35-21. I think what's gonna happen. I think Utah State's gonna come out slow. I think you guys are gonna run the ball pretty well, but in the second half, I think we're gonna pull up and win by a couple touchdowns. We'll see.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, we just gotta see.
Final question for you guys, the most important one. Who wins in a fight and why? A bull or a Spartan?
Oh, wait.
Does the Spartan have any weapons?
I mean,
A spear.
Yeah.
literally.
Do we have our iconic shield and spear?
Sure.
I feel like they have to. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
part
Alright.
of the.
I mean, unless it's like really uncoordinated
What
Spartan.
does your mascot normally have with him?
A spear and a shield.
Yeah.
Okay, so he has a spear and a shield.
All right.
It has to be
Wins and
really
why?
uncoordinated. Like, hopefully, just like a decently coordinated, like your average second baseman,
But,
if like the equivalent
it's
of
a
that in the
bull
MLB.
running at you. I don't.
What, I mean, it's
What
bad
are you
podcasting. It's bad
You've seen those
podcast.
videos where, like in Spain or whatever, they let the bulls run out.
Yeah.
And the
I'd turn and run. I don't know if I could stand
Yeah.
up to that
If-
even with a spear.
I don't
know what the shield would do against the bull.
You're gonna get impaled. I'm pretty sure, regardless.
Okay, but you're gonna get impaled with a spear.
But like it's like
with a
it's,
sword.
it's like somewhat like
It's-
how much can they weigh? Like 300 to 400 pounds.
Oh, they're
Something like
they're
that.
bigger.
with that. I think
Yeah,
1,000.
like I don't think a spear is gonna stop the
You'd have to
momentum,
stab
regardless.
quite a few times. We're gonna get pretty gruesome here.
wait, hold on. Okay, how long is the?
I don't know. Probably,
We can get into the technicalities. I think what's going to have to happen tomorrow on the field, we'll get both our mascots and just.
Yeah, just
Oh,
just
yeah.
let
Okay,
them
well,
go
if it's
at it.
mascot war, then yeah. Well, but you have the. Wait, I would still take.
Well,
your,
if it's a mascot war, I think the duck is taking it all. Right.
All right.
The
Jack
duck
the
and the
duck.
baguette.
We'll
Yeah.
agree on that. We'll go with that.
The bread.
Well, it's been great talking with you guys. I'm excited to see what happens at the game tomorrow. It's great getting to know you guys. And as we failed to introduce ourselves in the beginning, I'm Madison Weber, sports editor for the Utah Statesman.
And I'm Phil, and I do video for student media. For
Yeah.
Utah
All right,
State.
and
been
of course, we appreciate you guys coming all the way out here for the game, and appreciate you guys coming on SpearCast and everything. We hope eventually one day, something like this can happen again, whether it be for you guys or for us.
yeah,
absolutely.
Well, let's boost our exchange program. Let's do that. Yeah. Let's get Utah State money.
Cool.
All right,
Love that.
all right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Thanks.